Medium Curious is proud to be sponsored by VerySoul.
VerySoul is dedicated to the development of mediums and providing quality evidential readings to anyone who is looking to connect to their loved ones in spirit.
And if you'd like to try it out, your first reading's free. Just head to verysoul.com.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jane.
And I'm Sarah.
And you're listening to the Medium Curious podcast, the show that wants you to know that leaps of faith are a good idea.
Always.
Not always.
They usually get you to where you need to go.
That's right. But you got to stretch out.
You got to be a little brave to do it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of someone who is brave, we've got on Beth Pemberton, and she's a very, very accomplished TV writer and producer. And what else does she do, Jane?
Well, it turns out that she maybe channels some of the characters. She's a playwright in the moment and just an extraordinary human.
Oh, let's go talk to her.
Let's go talk to Mary Beth in Ireland.
Welcome, Mary Beth. We're so excited to have you with us today.
Thank you so much.
Can you tell us who you are and why you would want to do a podcast with two mediums?
Gosh, well, first, my name is Mary Beth Pemberton. I'm a writer. I am currently writing a play, and in my work, I do a lot of intuitive downloading, really. That's really the main way I think I get the majority of my information for what I do. So, I mean, right out of the gate, I think just a podcast like this in general is just, it's how you guys are doing it and making it so kind of accessible to everybody and really digestible and conversational. And because of the content in there, I just think it's so great. I mean, I'm someone that, you know, uses my intuition and kind of guides through signs in my daily life, but also through work. And I'm so used to it now that it's second nature. But I feel like, I don't know if you guys come across people like this, but I'm constantly running into people and they're kind of halfway in, but, you know, when I was talking about it with a friend the other day, they'll want a sign or see a sign, but then they don't really know how to trust a sign.
Right.
There's kind of this little leap or this kind of chasm in between the reality of it. You know, like I saw a sign or I thought that, but I feel like when I try to have a little bit of a deeper conversation, they don't know if they really believe.
Right.
Which I think is such a rich area because I'm such a huge believer. I know you guys are as well. And like I said, I mean, I wouldn't even be doing this project if I wasn't, because I feel like the whole project, the concept has been guided. And I do a lot of, I think a lot of creatives do. Again, even creatives, like, you know, you'll hear people talk about their process and they'll say, gosh, it just kind of comes to me, or I just kind of, I'm in a zone. That's kind of where the conversation ends. I don't know that there's a lot of chat about where that comes from, what it is, how they get it. I get asked a lot, where do I get my ideas? And depending on who I'm talking to, I'll probably be either less transparent or more transparent. But I feel like when I sit down to work, I know that I'm ready to work that day. If I feel very open and if I start sensing energy and it goes really easily, that's how I'll know that I'm set up for work that day.
It's like co-creating.
It's 100% that. And I feel like the times that I've written a scene where, you know, I wrote one recently, and it was the end scene of an act. And I really wanted to finish the act. So I was just like, I'm just going to do that scene. I'm just going to write that scene. And, you know, I know how to do that. I know how to come up with the words and the dialogue and the action and put it all in there. But I was not feeling any of that energy that I usually love to write with, which makes it really easy. And then the next day I woke up and I was like, that's not it. It's not it. And then I kind of knew, I kind of checked in with myself. And I was like, I know it now. When I sat down to write it, then it's very, very easy. It's very simple. And often what happens, which I think is really lucky, like I'm kind of keeping up with what's coming through. So I'll just be typing away as if I'm transcribing.
Right.
And that's what it feels like. And then I'll go back and read it. And it's as if I'm reading it for the very first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it. I totally identify with that. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm so curious when it kind of started. Like, this hasn't always been the way you worked.
Yeah.
You've been a writer your whole life, right?
Yeah.
So is there kind of a ramp in or a moment or and I'll just say, I'm so happy that you're here. We've been talking about this for a long time, and you're friends with our dear Adam Barr, who came on episode 12-ish, I want to say, like early on. And we love him so much. And he introduced us to you. And I know y'all were in the writer's room together. True story.
Yeah. Yes. For his pilot. Yes.
Ah, beautiful. So I'm just curious if you can kind of tell us like how this all started to dawn for you, how it began.
Well, wow. I think, I remember when I got out of college, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to be. And I'm a big skier. I live in Colorado half the year. And so I thought to myself, I mean, again, I think this is intuition, and it's a funny way to use your intuition, but this is what I did. I was just like, I'm not ready to pick. I honestly didn't feel in some ways like fully cooked. So I was like, I'm going to go out and be a ski bum for, Well, the joke is you're going to do it for a year, but some people are still not gone, but I did it for 2. And then I went to, and then I went to graduate school because I was just like, I want to be a writer. And I remember when I was growing up, like I was very into comedy and into lyrics and songs and stories. And I remember when I was watching TV when I was growing up, I would watch a scene and I would edit it how I thought it should be edited. And I would watch a character walk in and I thought, oh, they should have paused or they should have buttoned the scene there. Not really knowing what I was doing. I was just doing that. And I didn't know anyone. I mean, I'm from upstate New York. I didn't know anyone that did this. So after I was a ski bum for a couple of years, I went to college and I got my master's from Emerson College in writing and script writing. And I feel like it was just all of it. I just felt like that was just intrinsically part of me, that I was just, that's how I lived in this world. That's how I interpreted the world. And so I learned how to do it and went out to LA. And I think, this is going to sound funny, but I remember like having one of those moments when I was in my mid-20s, which I was at the time, thinking like, what I want to do for a living, I want it to be the biggest extension of who I am. I don't want to walk out the door and no offense to anyone that does any of these things, but I was like, go to a bank, hang up the suit and then come home and be me. I want to live in my career as who I was. So I was like, this is kind of what I do anyway. I was always, I was kind of class clown in high school. And, I wrote, I went into late night because I was like, I'm more of a joke writer and sketches. So I just felt like that is to me, as a creative, like that's an extension of who I am and I'm living who I am. And I think that's just a wonderful way to be, if you can do that, if you feel like you're kind of living your passion through who you intrinsically are, I think that's just a really lucky way to be. And so I kind of just kept building on that. And I think, at some point you start realizing that you're either in the flow when you're working and it's really easy, or you're over there kind of grinding it out. And anytime I felt like I was grinding it out, I didn't like it. And it took 3 times as long. Yeah. And if I was in the flow, I could bang out a scene in 15 minutes.
So what do you do to get in the flow? Do you have a process? You obviously know when you're in the flow because it is flowing out of you, but what do you do to get there?
I am pretty rigid about when I work. I'm someone that has to live it that way for me to get it done. So, I kind of get up every morning. One of the first things I do in the morning is I listen to music, like inspiring performances, inspiring music, because that just gets my whole body kind of in this creative vibe. And I'm really excited and amazed by people and what they're doing and what they can do. And then when I feel like I've had enough of it, I kind of stop that and flip over to where I am in my process, whether I'm still creating content or whether I know what I'm going to write that day, aware of what scene I'm writing, and then I can just go right into the scene. But I notice when I do that first that my energy is really high and I feel really excited, and that it almost opens up that connection for me.
I mean, that's just how mediumship works too. That's when you're feeling that excitement, when you're in that state of wonder and you're in sync with everything that is kind of that. Wouldn't you agree, Jane, that juiciness, that excitement, that,
Yeah.
When I had an oboe teacher at Northwestern, and he would do this thing before. I'm a musician too, Mary Beth.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. And I play in orchestras, and he would do this thing where before we play a big solo, he'd be like, okay, now get excited, go like this. And kind of pant, like to get that excitement going, but it would work, it would get me all excited to play this big, huge, juicy solo. And the same works for mediumship too. So from what I'm hearing from you is that it's kind of similar.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys feel this way as well. I mean, it's not necessarily just, it's certainly not for me, a faucet anyway, where I can just feel like I can turn it on or off. Like when I was younger, I used to, be very angry at a block, and I would just say, well, you know what, writers have to write anyway. And I would just try to push through it. And of course it, like I said, the content was never good. It was a very frustrating experience. And then finally I just said, don't do that, stop doing that. Like, if that's the result, stop doing it. And I would usually, like, something that really helps loosen me up or kind of disintegrate that block is a drive, like the hum of an engine. Like, I write really well on a plane. Like, I put these on and like as soon as that plane takes off, I'm like fired up till it lands. There's something about what that does, the way it kind of calms me down and allows me to focus.
I wonder, something happened recently where, I know what it was. This is random, but my son is a golfer, right? And we went to that fun Topgolf place. We just moved and there is Topgolf here. So we bought a couch from some random person off Facebook and went to Topgolf. So we're at Topgolf and I start hitting the ball, and I suck at golf. Like, I am no good. But because there was a game, like if you hit it to this point, you get points. And if you hit it to that point, you get points. I was great. I had no problem hitting the ball. I just had a couple of swing thoughts. This is all stuff I know because I'm with golfers. And my son was like, "Who are you?" Which was very nice. And I was like, "Why is this happening?" And I think it's because my brain was busy.
Yeah.
Thinking this strategy, which is all ridiculous and irrelevant, and I'm just wondering if that's part of it, right? Like, the brain gets to like have a percentage of it leaking over to the hum or attending to, but it's, I love that you have that discernment. You're like, in flow, let's go. Not in flow, like I'm going to get a snack or whatever. I don't know what you do, but like, not worth it. Like, I love that discernment. That's so helpful to hear.
Yeah. And it is quite, well, and it's also interesting too, like, so the scene that I recently wrote, so I was writing this scene about loss, and I was trying to get the people in my script, in my play, to kind of tell me about a loss. So I started with a pet and I shared mine and I used a real story about, the second dog our family had. And that's the one I grinded out. I was like, that's the end of the act. I want to feel good about being done with an act. Forced it in. Woke up the next day. I was like, that's like, I just did not like, I was just like, no, you can't do that. So like, what is the scene? And then I ended up writing about when our family lost our first dog. And her name was Princess. And so I wrote that and it just came flowing out. It was the perfect way to talk about loss. It fit in the scene. And so as I work out with a trainer here, and I went to the trainer, and on the way there, and I said, hey, I'd love to have a sign if I'm right about that scene, about switching that scene. So I get there. The trainer has a dog who I love. And I just said to him, oh, I just love this dog. And he said, well, you should have met our first dog. Tells me all about the first dog. Her name was Rhea, and that's in Gaelic, and the translation is princess.
Oh my gosh, Jill.
That day, and I was like, all right, that's it. That's the scene. And that is something, what a gift to allow myself to not feel like I have to write when it's not working. That really is, like I said, I think it's such an interesting topic, which is why I think, really this podcast is so great, because you guys are kind of really normalizing and having these conversations about something that we all have and that we can all access and use. And I just think there's this distance between talking about it like I hear a lot of people do, which is kind of the everyday sign and all of that. And then when you really have the next part of that conversation, which is, what is that sign? What is that flow? Where's it coming from? What is it for you?
Yes.
That makes it really not only interesting, but that to me is the sacred part of it.
Yeah.
That's really the sacred part of it. And I, as I think I was saying to Jane, like I listened to the podcast when you guys had your husbands on, and I just couldn't resonate with that more, because even as someone that can do this and that full on channels for my work, with people from history that, are in this play, I'm walking around talking about my process and kind of sizing up who I share and how I share what I do. I don't need to really
share it with. Yeah.
That's really it, and it's, and my choice becomes, will I be sharing something that will add value to the other person? Because I don't really feel any kind of need to share my process with anyone. But I think if it's someone that could use a little bit of a dose of the reality of what I think I'm doing and who I'm connecting with when I do it, that would be helpful in their life, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to. But that's why I think this is just such a great podcast, because I really think I really just think there's such a great yearning for the discussions around it. How you do it. How can I do it? I have people ask me, like, is there something I can read? Is there something I can listen to? Because it is comforting when you look into it and you trust and believe it. I mean, I get a ton of comfort from it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of just a way of living life in general. I mean, just as I was getting ready to hop on this podcast, my daughter, I was thinking the name Mary Beth in my head. I was like, oh, okay, we've got Mary Beth. We're going to talk to Mary. And my daughter was talking to her friend and she's like, Mary at the same time. And just like noticing those little synchronicities and noticing how it all just feels it's like in one river of flow. It's like, okay. and celebrating those little things, it just makes me so happy. And I think being happy and celebrating it when they do happen makes you notice them more and more and more.
Yeah, they've been encouraged. Yeah. I'm like, oh, we'll hang out with her. But that's it. It's like your awareness and your desire to be, I don't know. I always say it's like the star-eyed emoticon. It's like you're just like you're tuning into a particular frequency that is a magic, for lack of a better word, but I know there's a bigger sort of, or sacred isn't, it's sort of like the everyday sacred, whatever that word would be, there's something in there. And that's a lot of exactly that. But I love how you keep describing it. It's almost like there's like a leap where you go from kind of the mundane to we're going to come up with a catchphrase for this, ladies. We'll do it by the end of the day.
Yeah.
The everyday sacred.
There's something better. That sounds a little bit like Martha Stewart. But anyway, so Mary Beth, you were just saying that you channel the characters from history. Can you say a little more about that?
Yeah. I mean, so I'm, writing this play, and I'm kind of giving homage to people in history that have really kind of guided me, or kind of been people that I've admired, that I've kind of gone to like, well, they can do it, so I can do it. Oh, they did it, so I can do that. So there's some people that are still here that I don't do that with, but the people that have passed within that play, I absolutely do that with. And I think, because I've been doing this for a long time now, been kind of like a spiritual student for a really long time. I've been, I started by automatic writing. That's how I kind of would.
Oh, yeah.
Get answers to questions or get guidance on my own life and what I should do. So it didn't really feel that much of a leap to try and connect with the people that had passed that I was honoring in this play. And oh my gosh, you guys, like it has been, well, first of all, when you're honoring someone like this, like my experience so far has been, they're so happy and grateful that you are and appreciative that you are, and that you're keeping their story alive, and that you really appreciate them, and they really helped you along your way. Like that is what you get right out of the gate. So it is a very, usually when I connect to one of them for the very first time, it's very overwhelming energetically. It's very overwhelming, the gratitude that comes in. But then, I really want to make sure that I'm telling, it's just a tremendous responsibility, because I want to make sure that I'm telling the part of the story that they want told. And I want to make sure that I honor their experiences. That's really what I'm really trying to get, because I'm sharing and illuminating the experiences that I think that they went through that are quite powerful. So that's the biggest part, that I want to make sure that I bring that down. That's how I think of it. Bring it down in a way that they appreciate. It's been such a gift in this project to feel like that's happening when I'm doing it. And to sense some personality in there, is also, like some people aren't afraid to be, like, nope, like, no. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay.
That's awesome. And doesn't that kind of like confirm it for you when they're so like clear on their nose, or they have their quirky personality, or like, I did not make that up, because I would not have.
Yeah. It's, even it's that. And one of the bigger indicators, it's a speak that I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a dialogue that, I might, if I'm connecting with someone, I'm not sitting there going, I wonder how they would have talked, because that to me, in my experience, that is what's coming through. So when I read it back, like I said, some of these, I guess women especially have been through some like unbelievably horrible experiences. And when those are described to me, I don't have any relatability to what they went through. So when I read it, and how they describe it, like, I mean, I can sit on, I don't write at a desk. I sit on a couch with my legs under me, but I can sit there and I'm like, can bawl over understanding their human experience through how it's being shared.
We'll be right back.
Hi, friends. Just want to share a couple things happening in the Medium Curious world. First of all, thank you so much to our wonderful listeners who joined us for the class. We are loving it. But in other news, the Claire Club is still to come. It's a 6-week lab for you to grow your intuitive powers. It's an ongoing practice space. It's twice a week. Like I said, 6 weeks. It's where you're going to come and work with your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, clair everybody. They all get to stretch, play, and shine. So I hope y'all will join us. Check out mediumcurious.com to sign up. Also, friends, I just want to drop in and talk about a program that I'm starting here next month, November 11th. And it's a program called Higher Calling, where everyone can learn how to access their highest self. And in that guidance that you receive from your highest self, you'll be able to manifest your highest calling on this earth. If that sounds intriguing, come over to janemorganmedium.com and let's have a chat. And back to the show.
So you're a medium, Mary Beth. I mean, let's be clear here, because that's what happens. Like when we're doing mediumship readings for somebody else, it's that feeling that we feel. It's the emotion that we're able to feel and then portray, and that's what it sounds like you're connecting with, that you're bringing through.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I don't do it like you guys do it, but I've studied it. Like I studied it. I studied under teachers. I practiced. I was, in groups with other practitioners that were keeping their muscles strong and alive. And because I thought I had been doing it for a long time, I wanted to learn to do it because I thought it would be helpful in my own life, and because it was happening anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
In a real way, right? It's happening anyway. So I might as well figure out what this whole thing is. So I think, any writing project I've ever started, like I make sure that I'm very connected to that project. I don't write anything any other way. It really has to be something that I'm drawn to or inspired to write, or I don't do it. You know? Because as you know, it's already hard enough, that whole business. Yeah. I mean, if I didn't have that piece to it, I just don't even think I could do it.
Yeah.
But wait, you were starting to say earlier that you're pretty structured. Did you finish that? Because I was really, because every writer wants to hear the other writer's process, especially successful ones like you. I'm like, wait, so what time? How many cups of coffee?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Well, I am not an early bird. So, I mean, I used to be like even later than this, but I probably get up around like 7:30 or 8. I have 2 cups of coffee. It's a full on hour of music. I am on the internet and I'm watching like some of the same performances where like, I just sit there and go, are you kidding me? Like some of these musical performances, like where I know that is their gift.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
They're using, and that just inspires me so much that, like I said, it's not a saturation point. When I switch over to my work, it's almost like I'm ready now.
Yeah.
I'm awake enough now. I've had enough coffee.
Yeah.
Time to get to it.
Got it.
Got your morning dose of inspiration.
That's amazing. Thank you for going a little bit deeper into that, because it's just gorgeous. And like, I've done a lot of thinking and even kind of studying of like the concept of the muse. And so it's sort of like, that sounds like a very delightful invitation where you're in admiration, you're inspired, and you're sort of saying to your inner team, or I don't know, do you feel like it's guides, or do you just know it's the juice, or is there any way, do you define it at all? Like the flow that you get? I think,
I mean, I don't really define it. I almost just feel like I'm opening up a channel.
Okay.
Unless I'm looking to work with someone specifically, then I will, ask for that connection. I think I can kind of tell when I feel like, again, it's just my own intuition that I'm connecting with that person. And I guess there would be times where I just don't know if it's the guides kind of giving me the information that would be best for this project, because I do believe that as well. But if I wake up one day, if I don't get good sleep, forget it. I don't even try it.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Whole nother day, day, because it's just not happening. But like, and it's funny too, like I said, I'm rigid. So I, don't go out Sunday night through Thursday night. I make sure that, I get good sleep, that I eat well, that I get good exercise. I do everything to support the process. It's to me, the writing of the first draft of this play, it feels very intense. Like it almost feels like I'm looping through college finals week, which is making me, crazy. But I feel like until I get the draft done, it's just what makes it work and makes it the easiest it can be, which, I've never written a play and certainly not one of this scope. It's a pretty big scope. So I just protect the writing of it with my life. I don't know. I'm over in Ireland. Like I come over here and I, hole up in this house and I kind of stick to this schedule and it's working. And I think probably as a lot of creatives, if you find something that works, you're like, I'm not moving it or switching it or altering it. It becomes really scary because you don't want to mess it. You don't want to.
Yeah, I want to rock the creative boat. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, thank you for that. I love all that detail. I don't know. I geek out on that. I think it's just inspiring, really. Like your clarity and how you open the channel and protect the channel is really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. I love it. And I'm curious about Ireland. Tell us more about why Ireland.
Well, I think, when I came over, like it came over when I wasn't a writer, or, didn't have aspirations to come over as a writer, but this is, my heritage is here. I'm Irish, I have Irish roots, I should say. And I don't know if you guys have ever been here, but it is the most casual, easy, kind place you could ever be. I mean, it just is. And I just said, I have a couple of friends from Ireland in the States. I said, well, where would you go? And they just said, oh, here's the town for you. And it really is, you guys. It's like 2 streets, a grocery store, a couple of pubs, like, it's small. And I thought, okay, good, because I didn't really want the chaos of any kind of busy. Right. Yeah. So I just wanted to just go out and get my groceries and, have a couple of pubs and then come back and write. And that was it. And it just feels too like there's a, I mean, this is what I sense anyway. It's just a very like fertile, magical place.
Yes.
I really think that and feel that when I'm here. So that just being in that energy, and I hike a lot when I'm out in nature here, like it just keeps fueling me and fueling me and fueling me. And you're also, when you do something like this, like you're away from everything. Like I'm not at a doctor's appointment. I'm not getting like the washer fixed. Like I've got nothing on my calendar except for this. Yeah. And that's great. And I think it kind of makes it a little intense. Like I have to sometimes, pull myself back a little bit. But yeah, it's helpful if you can, and especially if the project feels like it does for me. I put myself in a situation like this, and that's how I'm getting it done.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It looks like a date with destiny. You're like Ireland and Mary Beth plus the channel equals this beautiful play or something. Yeah, something.
That's the recipe. That's the formula.
Yeah. Well, I hope so.
Oh, I know so. Right, Sarah? Don't you feel it?
Completely. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
and I love that you understand that you work this way. You're very aware of how you're doing things. I think that awareness is really important for creative people. And also the awareness that you are intuitive and that you are channeling, because I have a feeling there's a lot of people out there that aren't even aware of the fact that they're doing this. So I think that gives it a whole lot more power when you can draw your attention to that.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, that's what I was saying a little bit before. Like I'm like you, Jane, and I don't know if you're like this, Sarah, but I'm so interested in other people's process. So, I'm always, if I can, I'll go to a lecture from either the creatives from a TV show or a movie, because that's really what I'm looking to hear about. Like, how did you do it? What helped you? Like, how'd it go for you? Yeah. And I think, as I was saying earlier, you'll hear about their process And if it's someone like, I remember Elizabeth Gilbert's TED Talk, she talked about a muse, but, you know, it was kind of like one of the first times where I was aware I could do what I could do. And I'm listening to her TED Talk, but I thought there's a bunch of people wondering what that muse is right now.
Yeah.
You know, like you're saying, oh, you know, this muse, and it comes and it sits next to me and I sit with, and I'm like, that is really that gap I was talking about earlier, where so many people will talk about like, well, I trust my gut, or I got a sign. And then if you kind of have a further conversation, it's almost like they're kind of not sure what's happening when that is happening. When they're having, you know, when they see a sign or they have that kind of gut feeling, what is that? And I think, you know, as I'm sure you guys experience as well, like I have my whole belief system around that's really strong. And it's because I can trust it. I mean, thankfully, because I am taking a big swing here, but I think I have so much behind it that helps my nerves a bit when I'm doing it. Yeah.
Wow.
Just thank you for taking a big swing. I mean, that goes back to what you were saying about being the fullest expression of yourself. I mean, you're just doing it. Like you just have to do it. You just have to trust and do it.
Just trust and do it, everybody. Y'all got that, listeners? I mean, it is really inspiring. And, you know, one of the things we connected on earlier, Mary Beth, I'm hoping we can just chat a little bit about, is that show that you were pitching, that you were working on. Do you mind talking a little bit? Because you know what? I love it so much, but yeah.
Oh my gosh. Talk about a blast. And also talk about, like, I'm a scripted writer. So that is a non-scripted show. So that is, I never thought I'd be doing anything in the non-scripted world, but it's a show where it's based on an equine veterinarian, primarily equine vet, and an animal communicator. And they travel together and heal and talk to the animals. And I'm telling you guys, like, it was such a gift to me to be able to shoot the reel. I shot a teaser for that, which is a reel that you, when you're pitching your show to production companies and networks, you bring them in a taste of your show. So I shot a reel for that. And this is how, and you know, that they tell you don't bring in a second over 5 minutes, not even 5:10. And I brought in 9. I was so sure of my content. I was just like, no. And you know, it, again, I mean, that's all gut. I'm all going on gut on that. It was just absolutely like a gift to me to be able to shoot it and to watch them work. But what would happen is Liz, the vet, would get out to an animal and it would test completely healthy, but there would still be something going on. So she would call Wendy, the animal communicator, and Wendy would come out and have a full-on conversation with the animal and just say, what is this then? Like, what's the limp? You know, what's the sadness? What's going on here? Why won't you walk through water? Wendy would get it in a second and you could see the solve. And that's what we would shoot, like the solve. And it is really, I mean, and I know you guys, I know Jane has been in the business. I pitched that show three times and I had 3 offers in 2 days.
Wow.
It just doesn't happen like that. That absolutely doesn't happen. But that's just how incredible it is to watch. And I really did want to make sure we would kind of shoot everything in one take without editing.
Yes.
To kind of further the point that there's nothing.
Real
I mean,
time.
I don't know who
no smoking screens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty, I don't, whatever the word is, to go in if you were trying to sell it in a different way. But yeah, so that they could see, you know, Liz do the testing, Wendy do the communicating, and then watch Wendy and Liz work with these animals. And I'm telling you, it's their mission as people that wanted to even be involved in it was like purely 100% to educate people on really the depth that animals have.
Yeah.
Yes.
The depth to their emotions, their ability to communicate what they need from you.
Yeah.
And to talk to them and to share with them. And that's really why they want to even participate, because they're both, neither of them advertise. I mean, they don't need to. So it was pure love of animals that even wanted them to take on the idea of being in something like this.
Yeah. Well, and educate, let people know that animals are intelligent, and there's so much more to being in relationship to animals than, what we usually generally use animals for.
Well, it's so nice that the telepathy tapes has taken off in this last year. And I don't know if you caught that episode, Mary Beth, about animals that she did. It's kind of like, have you heard the podcast?
No.
Oh my gosh. For your hikes. You are in for a treat.
That's exactly what
All together now. It's a treat. Oh man. Okay. I'm excited for you. So then we'll just leave it there. And probably 98% of our listeners have heard it, because we say it every time pretty much. But anyway, there's this, for me, I feel like people are starting to get it. Like like she was on the woman who she's a filmmaker, actually, Kai Dickens, and she was shooting a documentary and decided to put it into podcast format to try to just raise funds for her doc.
Right.
And then it blew up, and she was on Joe Rogan, and she was on Diary of a CEO, and she's been on huge podcasts. So to me, that's like, we've stretched into some mainstream moment. Like by we, I mean those of us who are obviously super clear that this is real and we don't have to keep questioning it, like the three of us. And so many of our listeners are like getting past that threshold, across that bridge you're talking about. Like that's the leap. And I feel like we're a tipping point. Like I feel like it's happening in some close time and space dimension, maybe just in Ireland. I don't know, but it just feels like it's happening. So it'd be cool maybe if the show went back out, or because I just feel like people are super, because wasn't there some kind of like catch where someone didn't believe it?
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I mean, it was, so we sold it basically, to a network that was going to put it on Nat Geo. That was, one of the networks that they owned. And we signed contracts and everything. And I never, I'm superstitious now, because I've had so many kind of like exciting deals kind of have this funny left turn at the last minute. So I don't really ever talk about my luck until it's like sealed. And I thought, well, God, we signed contracts. I think I can say this sold. And then it was kind of that meeting where, the president of the network kind of reviews the lineup and kind of got down to mine and was like, are people really going to buy that someone's out there talking to animals? And he and everyone else was like, yes, like, because part of it too, when I was pitching and certainly who I went into relationship with full on, and she doesn't need to be there. So she'd be like, all right, and so they were like, oh, we're doing this. It's so magical. And the head of the network just pulled it at the last second. He just did not feel comfortable with it. So, I mean, I know it. And I have so many cool, like, they told me about things that happened. I shot things that happened. Like the stories are so amazing and funny and heartwarming. And it
amazing.
deserves to go back out. They're amazing.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
When you've downloaded the full play, and when you've done your beautiful, diligent duty of what you're channeling right now, I hope you go back out with it, because I want to watch it.
I know. I was thinking about it today too, because like I was just kind of like looking back at some of the episode ideas and A stories and B stories and all that, and it's so. It's just, it is. I mean, and their relationship, because Liz is like, the equine vet is kind of like, she goes 100 miles an hour. She's hilarious. And that's her energy. And then there's, she's
all zen.
Very,
mama. Yeah.
But they work like, I don't even know how to describe the perfection and how they work together.
Oh.
Liz comes right down to that energy where she needs to be to meet Wendy.
Wow.
Like, it is stunning. It is just, yeah.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you for sharing about that. I know it's going to go at some time. It's just, I think it's ripe. I think the world is ready.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, fun fact, we don't have a timer here. So I have no idea where we are in time and space.
We're at time, Jane.
Are we? No.
Yeah.
Oh, but okay. All right. Well, we're just gonna have you back, Mary Beth, once your play is up and running on Broadway or wherever it's gonna land, and when your show is going. But my gosh, thank you so much. It's just a delight to talk to you, and I especially love meeting professionals like yourself who are out, very much in the world, killing it in network TV and like in the world of like, I think a world that a lot of people, think is super cool and admire. And it's just very shiny. And here you are, this medium, intuitively pulling in this information, but like walking along with the mortals. Like, I love it. That the muggles. Is there anything else, Sarah, that you wanted to ask before we close, or?
Well,
I don't want to be done.
I know. Can you tell us about a quick NDE?
A quick NDE. Is that a thing?
Super quick. Yeah, I do have one of those. Which is that is wow, what an experience that is. And in a real way, I thought about it yesterday because I thought, if we do talk about it, like I kind of wanted to go through it again myself. And it is just, it's an experience that does bring you a blessing if you can get there with it. But man, to get that blessing, you really,
wow,
it's harrowing.
Yeah, you don't wish it.
No.
But you don't wish it.
No.
But I was rafting in Colorado with friends, and I had my good friend was guiding us down the river. And it was moving, the river was moving. And I don't know if you guys have rafted, but one thing a guide will do is if they want to flip the direction of how they're rowing, they'll bump a rock. And so we're moving down this river and he's tired of going one way. He goes to, bump the front of our raft against this rock. But instead of bumping him so he can switch directions, we go up on it. And our whole raft is on a top of this boulder. Like the boulder was probably the size of a VW bug. Like it was massive. Yeah. And I got tossed out and sucked under. And so, I was pinned between the rock and the raft, but down under.
Under it, yeah. Submerged.
Under the water, yes. Yeah. And, I've kind of been an outdoorsy, adrenaline person my whole life. So fortunately for me, like the first few moments of it, I'm like, oh, this isn't great. But I wasn't like panicked. I was just kind of like, all right, I have to get myself out. And then I'm underneath there and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like literally wedged up against this rock, and I tried to move myself left and I couldn't. And then I tried to move myself right and I couldn't. And I'm just trying and trying and trying. And then, you do have the thought like, oh my gosh, I really think this could be it because I can't move. Like I can't move. And one thing, like it's really loud under there. Like I think when the water's going that fast, it's almost like an engine, a really super loud engine. So it's like super, super loud. All of a sudden I am panicking now because I can't move. And then silence. Like then I heard nothing. Mm-hmm. And I went into like this gray kind of like brown cube. And I remember standing there and being completely dry. And I was just like, I'm not under the water anymore. And I don't hear anything because I remember it was just so loud. Now I don't hear anything. And I I wasn't in there very long, but kind of long enough to kind of look around and wonder where I was, and was just, I kind of looked down and I'm like, I'm dry. This is so strange. And then I heard, do you want to stay or do you want to go? And I heard that, I heard that twice. And so I must have been in my head, but I said twice, I want to stay. I want to stay. And it's the second time I said it, there was a guy on the raft. They were asking where I was. And just as I said it that second time, he put his hand underneath the raft to feel if there was anything underneath there. And he felt my back and pulled me out.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It's, and then, once I don't think this was 5 years ago. I wasn't curious in other people's stories for a while, because you just are just kind of figuring out how to go through that experience yourself, get the trauma out of your body, which is very real for me.
Yeah.
Like I live on a river in Colorado, and I couldn't open my slider. Like I couldn't hear water. I mean, it was just, and then, I found my way, and then, I got curious, like I wanted to hear other people's experiences. And I thought, gosh, like comparatively, like mine was just kind of, hey girl,
like, hey, what do you think?
Yeah. Hey,
you ready?
Here or there, what not? You pick.
I know. I was just like, I know it just seemed kind of like nondescript, but I like I said, I don't put too much thought into it, but I also think like you don't have long underneath there before it's going to get pretty bad. Yeah.
Wow. But so your intuition and your channeling, that had all come online before this happened. Yeah. This was not like the instigating event or anything like that. That's cool though. So do you feel like you fully integrated it since then? Or are you still working on that?
I think I have for the most part. Like I was actually surprised myself when I thought about it yesterday that, I kind of put myself in that moment of being stuck, where I was stuck. And I could still feel some of that, like that is like I said, a moment I would not wish that on anybody. Like that is a very, very scared to death moment. Yeah. But for the most part, like I've been back on the river. Good. I can open up my slider. Like, I don't know if I'm going to do class 5 or any crazy stuff. I don't think I need to do that.
Have any idea about the voice that you heard?
No, it didn't feel, honestly, it felt very nondescript. It wasn't, it was just quick and we need your answer. And things are getting kind of spicy. Yep. So
oh my God.
That's so interesting.
Such like Wizard of Oz moment.
Yeah. I always feel like you can sense what you should do, what decisions you should make, what those decisions should be. Like I really go inside and I feel like I could sense it. Like I sensed and knew from a very young age, if I was brave enough, that I wanted to be a writer. I didn't know if I would be brave enough. I knew that. When or after that experience, whatever that sense is became rock solid. Like it wasn't just kind of like an inkling anymore, or kind of like, gosh, yep, I think I picked the right one. It was
no doubt. Confidence.
Nothing. Nothing. Just like a clarity that you could
like, I want to be here and I want to do this.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Golly.
Yeah.
I think that's what I love about hearing NDE stories is that change after. And it sounds pretty stunning, because I think a lot of times, and I know we need to wrap up, but it's like being here is hard. 3D, earthing, earth school, man. Sometimes I'm like, wanna. So like, it's so inspiring to hear how you were like, oh no, I want to stay. I want to stay. Like I think about if I would have been like, cool, let's go. I'm ready. You know what I mean? And not to be like dramatic or anything. It's just, I find it really hard here. And so I love, again, you have this clarity and this focus and this drive. And it's just really delicious to hang out in your energy field because it's I don't know, it's admirable and it's wonderful to witness. It's
inspiring.
Yeah, exactly. It's inspiring. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us. It's just been an incredible, I don't know how many minutes. And thank you for joining our Rainbow Crew, Mary Beth.
Well, you guys, thank you for doing this because like I said, I get asked a lot about it and I feel like being able to direct people to this podcast is so great because they're looking for the information and how you guys share it and the people that you have on are so incredible and wonderful. And it's so digestible. And people are really hungry for it. And it's wonderful.
Oh, I appreciate that so much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. We'll see you when you're winning your Clios and awards and all that stuff.
Yes.
Thanks, Mary Beth.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Very Soul is our sponsor for Medium Curious. Jane and I are both Very Soul mediums.
Oh, yes, we are. Verysoul.com, y'all. Inspired by spirit, guided by love, and brought to life by mediums. Medium Curious is made possible
by Jane Morgan Editing.
Sarah Rathke made the amazing music.
And you can help Medium Curious by downloading the episodes.
And the dogs under the desk in Utah are Kalea and Domino.
And Trixie.